Well, the waiting is almost over. Forget about the World Cup. That's been and gone. It's all about the Ashes now. We're excited. We're pumped, George, to be here at Edgbaston. But are England pumped about their top four? Or are you pumped about their top four?
I'm not sure what pumped means. But have I got reservations and doubts about the top four? If that's what it means, then yes, I do. I mean, of course I do. Obviously, there are doubts that Jason Roy's probably not in his best position. There are doubts whether Rory Burns is going to make it. And there are doubts about whether Joe Denley's going to make it. And then you go a bit further down, Johnny Bairstow from Lords. Moeen Ali looks as if he's batting like he's lost his eyesight. And, so there isn't that quite the scope for the middle order to bail them out as there has been in recent years. So, yeah, I think England have some real concerns with their batting.
Well, on the bowling front, one person we know isn't going to make it out here for the Edgbaston Test anyways, Jofra Archer. Good call?
Probably, yeah, because they're not sure he's fully fit. And I think he would have been picked had he been. Their reasoning is that with the ball they're using in this series, the attack that they're fielding will have enough skill. I think Jofra's a miss. I mean, I actually think it's a ridiculous thing to say, bearing in mind he's never played a test, but he's an automatic selection. But, he has had a side strain, and they've already got Jimmy Anderson coming into the game on the comeback trail, and they think he might be useful later in the series. So, it's a pragmatic decision and probably the right one.
And hopefully for us it just means that he'll be tweeting throughout this first test match at least. Let's look at Australia. They've got their own issues as well, and while they've kept their cards close to their chest on the final selection, it does appear more and more likely that Mitchell Starc is going to miss out. Is that a sign of their strength?
I think it is up to a point, But again, I think they reckon that the surface will do enough anyway, so that you maybe don't need his extra pace, and maybe there won't be as much reverse. I mean, his career is at an interesting stage because there's no way around it. He hasn't been getting quite the reverse movement he was before the incident. And he has to find a way. Maybe it's the pitches, maybe it's a lot of things. I don't want to speculate. But he has to find a way of making himself valuable on all surfaces. It's an amazing situation to be able to leave out a bowler that good. And I honestly think quite a lot of England batsmen will be relieved. One thing that's been really noticeable is how many left-arm throwdowns they're still having in the nets, because they think that it might be a bluff from Australia.
Wow, that would be a big one. Now, Australia have had their own issues with batting as well, but they do have, you'd have to say, two of the best in the world back in Steve Smith and David Warner. Do you think that could be the difference between the two sides?
I think in part, yeah, I do. They're terrific players, and I'm really glad to see them back for what it's worth. And actually, Bancroft's looked like one of the best openers in county cricket during the period he's been playing here in tricky conditions. And that is possibly one of the key differences between the sides, that their top order batting just looks a little bit more solid. All I would say is that Smith got runs in England, sure. I don't know that he's got runs against the moving ball. And if the pitch is as we expect, he will have to do that. So that brings England slightly back into the game. And the other thing that England have advantage is probably just Ben Stokes. He is the world-class all-rounder in this series. Obviously, England have other all-rounders who are good. But he looks like a very hungry all-rounder at the peak of his powers. He balances the side with the ball, and actually he might be the technically best batsman. And that is an area that England could do pretty well. The other thing, I suppose, is because of their depth, they always have options with bat and ball. Australia going into this game probably with three seamers and Nathan Lyon. So I think the pitch looks quite good. If they're out there a long time, that gets pretty tricky. So that's another potential area of weakness. But personally, I see Australia as very slight favourites in what I think will be a really keenly contested series.